The year was 2287. Earth had not seen war for 200 years. Commander Jake Morrison stood at the big window of Sentinel-3 space station. He looked down at the blue planet below. Earth looked peaceful and beautiful from up here. The space station was very old. Its weapons were installed when Jake's grandfather was young. But Jake was not worried. Earth did not need powerful weapons anymore. Earth was protected by something stronger than guns and missiles. It was protected by a promise called the Covenant of Protected Worlds. This promise was ancient and sacred. Every smart species in the galaxy had signed it. The rules were simple and clear. Some planets were safe from war. No one could attack them. These planets were sanctuaries where violence could not reach. Earth had earned this protection 2 centuries ago after the First Contact War. Humanity fought hard and earned respect from other species. The galaxy decided humans deserved peace, but Earth had to give something in return. Earth became special. It became the galaxy's orphanage. When wars destroyed families across the stars, the children came to Earth. When diseases killed entire colonies, the orphans came to Earth. When disasters left kids alone in the universe, they found safety on Earth. Human caretakers welcomed them all. They fed them. They taught them. They loved them like their own children. Jake had not always worked on the space station. He used to be a father. His daughter died from a terrible sickness when she was only 7 years old. After that terrible day, Jake could not stay on Earth anymore. There were too many painful memories. Too many empty rooms in his house. Too many toys that no one played with anymore. So he asked to work in space. Up here on Sentinel-3, he could watch over the orphaned children below. It gave his life meaning again. It gave him peace in his broken heart. Lieutenant Kyle Chen walked up beside Jake. The young officer was third-generation military. His grandfather, father, and now Kyle all served in space. Kyle was a good officer, but Jake knew something about him. Kyle believed Earth's protected status made humanity weak. Kyle never said it out loud, but Jake could see it in his eyes. Kyle wanted humans to be strong warriors, not peaceful caretakers. "Commander, we just got a message from the Galactic Council," Kyle said. His voice sounded worried. "There is a big problem developing." Kyle handed Jake a small computer tablet. Jake read the report carefully. His stomach felt cold. The Vector Dominion was making demands. The Vector were a military empire. They had been taking over planets in the outer parts of the galaxy for many decades. They were powerful and dangerous. And now they wanted something from the Council. They wanted refugee children. The Vector said they needed Cathene children who lived in sanctuaries across the galaxy. The Vector claimed these children had important information about Cathene resistance fighters. They said it was a matter of security, a matter of protecting their empire. The Galactic Council had said no to their demands. They refused to give up the children. So the Vector ambassador delivered an ultimatum, a threat. Jake felt ice in his blood when he read the ambassador's final words. Treaties are just words. Words can be burned. Jake stared at those terrible words for a long moment. "It is just politics," Kyle said, trying to sound confident. "They will negotiate. They always do. No one breaks the treaty." Jake was not so sure. He had fought in small battles when he was young. He knew the look in a warrior's eyes when talking was over, when words meant nothing anymore. He had seen that look in the video footage of the Vector ambassador. Down on Earth, in what used to be called Colorado, the New Hope complex spread across 50 square miles. It was the largest sanctuary on the planet. More than 50,000 children lived there. They came from 200 different species. Some breathed oxygen like humans. Others needed special atmospheres created just for them. Some had soft fur covering their bodies. Some had scales that shimmered in the sunlight. Some had beautiful wings. All of them were orphans. All of them had lost their families. All of them believed they were safe on Earth. Director Linda Hayes walked through the main dormitory building. She had been a Marine soldier before becoming a teacher. She ran New Hope with military discipline and organization. But her heart was soft and gentle for the children. She had to be both strong and kind. It was the hardest job in the world. In the medical wing, Dr. Sophie Grant was examining a young Zephyr child. The Zephyr were bird-like aliens with delicate wings. This child had been hurt in a transport accident. Sophie worked very carefully. She used instruments made for human hands to treat a body she had learned about from books. She was excellent at her job. She had saved many lives by figuring out how to treat completely different alien species. Sophie hummed a song while she worked. It was an old Earth lullaby that mothers sang to babies. The Zephyr child did not understand the words, but the gentle tone was soothing and peaceful. Music was beautiful to almost every species. It was one of the universal languages that everyone understood. In the education center, 12-year-old Maya was helping translate for new children. Maya was human, but she had an amazing gift for languages. She could speak 17 different alien languages perfectly. Her teacher said she had natural talent. Maya said she just liked talking to people and making new friends. The new arrivals were from a mining colony that exploded because of broken equipment. They were scared and confused. They did not know where they were or what would happen to them. They spoke a clicking and whistling language that most computer translators could not understand. But Maya had learned this language from another child last year. She clicked and whistled at them in their own sounds. Slowly, they began to relax. Their frightened faces became calmer. "You are safe here," Maya told them in their clicking language. Earth protects everyone. She believed it completely with all her heart. Every child at New Hope believed it. They had been taught that Earth was special, that the ancient treaty made them untouchable, that no matter what terrible things happened in the galaxy, they were safe here. Nothing bad could reach them on Earth. Maya's little brother Danny was playing outside in the courtyard. He was only 6 years old. He did not remember their parents at all. They had died in an accident when Danny was just a baby. Maya remembered them, though. She remembered enough for both of them. She kept their memory alive in stories she told Danny every night. Danny had a stuffed bear that belonged to their father. It was old and worn out. The fur was rubbing off in places, but Danny carried it everywhere he went. It was his most precious possession. That evening, Director Hayes received an urgent message from the Galactic Council. Her hands shook slightly as she read it. The Vector had made another statement. A new threat. They were giving the Council 72 hours. 3 days to hand over all Cathene refugee children. If the Council refused, there would be consequences. Terrible consequences. Linda called an emergency meeting with her top staff. Dr. Grant came to the meeting. So did the head of security, a former soldier named Carl Hughes. They read the message together in worried silence. They would not dare attack, Carl said firmly. Protected worlds are completely off limits. It is the most sacred law in the galaxy. No one breaks it. The Vector do not care about sacred laws, Linda said quietly. Her voice was sad and worried. I have read their history. When they want something, they just take it. Treaties do not stop them. Only force stops them. Then the Council will send military force, Sophie said hopefully. They have to. That is what the treaty promises. That is what protection means. Linda looked out the window. She watched the children playing in the courtyard. The sunset painted the sky beautiful colors of orange and red. The children were laughing and chasing each other. They were happy. They believed they were completely safe. I hope you are right, Linda said softly. But something deep in her gut told her to prepare for the worst. She had learned in the Marines to trust that feeling. That instinct had saved her life many times. Carl, I want emergency drills tomorrow morning, she ordered. Make sure every single child knows where the emergency bunkers are located. You think it is that serious? Carl asked, surprised. I think we should be ready, just in case. Up on Sentinel-3, Jake Morrison was running tests on the defense systems. The weapons were old, but they still worked. They were designed to fight asteroids and small pirate ships. Nothing serious. Nothing military. Earth had not needed serious defenses for 200 years. Kyle Chen watched the test results appear on the screens. Sir, if there was real trouble, how long could we hold out? Kyle asked. Jake thought carefully about the question. Against pirates, maybe a few days. He paused. Against a real military fleet. He looked at Kyle with sad eyes. Minutes, maybe less. That is not very encouraging, sir. It does not matter, Jake said, trying to sound confident. No one would ever attack a protected world. It would unite the entire galaxy against them. It would be complete suicide. Kyle nodded slowly, but he still looked worried. What if they do not care about suicide, sir? What if they just want revenge or to make a point? Jake did not have a good answer for that question. He looked down at Earth through the window. Somewhere down there, 50,000 children were getting ready for bed. They were brushing their teeth, putting on pajamas, saying goodnight to their friends. They trusted the treaty completely. They trusted the galaxy to keep its promise. They trusted that someone would protect them from the darkness. Jake had lost his own daughter because he could not protect her from disease. But these children were different. They were his responsibility now. His mission. His purpose for living. If anyone tried to hurt them, they would have to go through him first. He just hoped his old weapons would be enough. The 72 hours began counting down. 3 days until the ultimatum expired. 3 days until the galaxy would discover if words were enough. 3 days until everything changed forever. The alarm screamed through Sentinel-3 at 4 o'clock in the morning. Commander Jake Morrison jumped out of his bed. His heart was pounding hard. He ran toward the command center before his mind fully understood what was happening. Lieutenant Kyle Chen was already at the sensor station. His face looked pale and scared in the red emergency lights. Sir, we have multiple contacts, Kyle said. His voice was trying to stay steady, but his hands were shaking. 15 capital ships just appeared from slip space. They are vector signatures. Jake stared at the tactical display screen. 15 red icons floated above Earth. They looked like drops of blood hanging in space. Each icon was a dreadnought. Each dreadnought carried enough weapons to destroy a moon. His mind tried to reject what he was seeing. This could not be real. This could not be happening. No one attacked protected worlds. It was the most sacred law in the galaxy. Open a channel, Jake ordered. His throat felt dry. All frequencies. Broadcast our protected status immediately. The communications officer worked frantically at her controls. Channel open, sir. Broadcasting now. Jake spoke clearly into the microphone. He tried to keep his voice calm and official. Vector Fleet, this is Sentinel-3 orbital defense. You are in violation of the Covenant of Protected Worlds. Earth is a designated sanctuary. You must withdraw immediately. They waited. 30 seconds of terrible silence. Then the response came. A Vector voice. Cold and precise. No emotion at all. Your covenant means nothing. Stand down, or be destroyed. Jake felt ice spread through his stomach. 200 years of peace had just shattered in 30 seconds. He looked around at his crew. Young faces trained for routine patrol duty. They were not prepared for war. But they were all Earth had right now. Battle stations, Jake ordered. His voice was strong now. Charge all weapons. Launch defensive drones. Send emergency broadcast to Earth's surface. Get those children to the bunkers. Now. The station came alive with activity. Ancient weapon systems started powering up. Missile tubes opened with grinding sounds. Energy shields flickered to life. They were weak and outdated, but better than nothing. Jake knew the truth. It would not be enough. Sentinel-3 was 90 years old. Its weapons were designed to scare off pirates, not fight military dreadnoughts. Down on Earth, the emergency sirens woke the New Hope complex at dawn. The loud wailing sound echoed across the campus. Director Linda Hayes grabbed her communicator and ran toward the main dormitory. Children poured into the hallways. They looked confused and frightened. The younger ones were crying. The older ones tried to stay calm and help. "Everyone to the bunkers," Linda shouted. Her voice carried the command tone from her Marine days. "Teachers, get your groups moving. We have practiced this. Stay calm and move quickly." Maya woke to the sirens. Her heart jumped with fear. She immediately ran to Danny's room. Her little brother was sitting up in bed. He was clutching his stuffed bear tight. His eyes were wide with terror. "Maya, what is happening?" Danny's voice was shaking. "Just a drill," Maya lied. She tried to smile for him. "Come on, we need to get to the bunker." She grabbed his hand, and they joined the stream of children flowing through the corridors. Maya recognized faces from 100 different worlds. The clicking language speakers she had helped yesterday. The Zephyr child with the injured wing. A tall Centauri boy who always smiled at everyone. All of them moving together toward safety. Dr. Sophie Grant was in the medical wing when the alarm sounded. She had 3 patients who could not be moved easily. One was on a breathing machine. Another had just come out of surgery yesterday. The third was too young and too sick to survive the trip to the bunker. Her staff looked at her with frightened eyes. "Doctor, what do we do?" Sophie made a quick decision. Her voice was gentle but very firm. "You go. Get to the bunker. I will stay here with the patients." "But doctor, the orders are to evacuate everyone." "I am not leaving children alone," Sophie said. "They will be scared. Someone needs to stay with them. Go." "That is an order." Her staff hesitated for just a moment. Then they ran for the bunkers. Sophie sat down next to the Zephyr child's bed. She began to hum the lullaby. The same song she always sang. Her hands were trembling, but her voice stayed steady and calm. In orbit, the first vector attack destroyed 2 of Sentinel-3's defensive platforms in seconds. Jake watched the explosions on his screen. He felt something die inside his chest. Those platforms had crews, 15 people on each one. 30 friends, 30 colleagues. People he knew. People he ate lunch with. Gone in a flash of light. "Return fire," Jake ordered. His voice was hard as stone now. "Everything we have." Sentinel-3's ancient missiles launched into space. Its energy weapons fired bright beams. The weapons were old and weak compared to what the Vector had. But Jake's crew knew how to use them well. They targeted the lead dreadnought's engines. 3 missiles got through the enemy shields. Small explosions bloomed on the massive ship's hull. It was like throwing rocks at a fortress. But it got their attention. Kyle Chin looked up from his console. His face was white. "Sir, they are targeting us directly now. Multiple weapon locks." Jake knew exactly what was coming. He could order his crew to evacuate. Send them to the escape pods. Save their lives. But every second he kept the Vector focused on the station was 1 more second the children below had to reach the bunkers. "All hands, this is the commander." Jake spoke into the ship-wide channel. "Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods." "That is a direct order." Nobody moved. Jake looked around the command center. His crew stared back at him. Young faces. Determined faces. Brave faces. Kyle spoke first. His voice was quiet but strong. "Sir, my family has served on these walls for 3 generations. If they fall today, we fall with them." The others nodded. The communications officer, the weapons officer, the engineers, 23 men and women. They had all made the same choice. Jake felt tears in his eyes, but he blinked them away quickly. "Then we make it count," he said. "Helm, set collision course with that lead dreadnought. Weapons, target their slip space drive with everything we have left." "Collision course set, sir." "Weapons locked on slip space drive." Jake took one last look at Earth through the window. The beautiful blue planet where children were running to safety. Children who deserved to grow up. Children who deserved to live. "Then let us show them what humans do when you threaten our children," Jake said. "Fire." Every missile Sentinel-3 had left launched at once. Every energy weapon fired at maximum power. The station shook violently with the recoil. On the Vector dreadnought, alarms screamed. Dozens of impacts hammered their slip space drive. The drive began to fail, to collapse, to tear open a dangerous hole in space itself. Sentinel-3 slammed into the dreadnought 3 seconds later. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface. A new sun bloomed in the sky for 5 seconds, bright and terrible and beautiful. When it faded, the dreadnought was gone. So were 2 more Vector ships caught in the massive blast wave. So was Sentinel-3 and its crew of 23 heroes. The explosion bought 7 minutes. 7 precious minutes for the children to reach the bunkers. 7 minutes for Director Hayes to seal the heavy blast doors. 7 minutes for Maya to hold Danny tight and tell him everything would be okay. Then the remaining 12 Vector dreadnoughts opened fire on Earth. Orbital kinetic strikes fell like deadly rain. Rods of metal accelerated to incredible speeds by powerful electromagnetic launchers. Each rod hit with the force of a nuclear weapon, but without the radiation. Clean destruction. Precise annihilation. The first strike hit the eastern dormitory complex. 400 children were still inside. Too young or too slow to make it to the bunkers in time. The building vaporized instantly. There was no rubble. No bodies, just a massive crater where a home used to be. The second strike hit the medical wing. Dr. Sophie Grant had just finished singing the lullaby to the Zephyr child. The child's eyes were starting to close peacefully when the world turned white. Sophie did not have time to be afraid. She only had time to think that at least the children were not alone. More strikes followed quickly. The education center. The administration building. The recreation fields where children played yesterday. Each impact shook the ground like an earthquake. In the bunker, Linda Hayes held onto a support beam as dust rained from the ceiling. The lights flickered and went dark for a moment. The children screamed in terror. Maya covered Danny with her body as the bunker shook violently. Around them, children from 100 worlds huddled together. Human children, alien children, all of them crying, all of them terrified. The walls groaned with stress. Metal screeched. For a horrible moment, Maya thought the bunker would collapse and bury them all. Then the shaking stopped. Silence filled the bunker. A terrible, heavy silence. Linda waited 5 minutes, then 10. When no more explosions came, she opened the emergency hatch. She climbed the ladder to the surface slowly. The world had changed completely. Smoke rose from a dozen impact craters. Buildings she had walked through that morning were simply gone. The medical wing was just a hole in the ground. The eastern dormitory complex had ceased to exist. Small fires burned everywhere. The sky was dark with smoke and ash. Linda counted heads when the children emerged from the bunkers. She knew the numbers by heart. New Hope Complex housed 52,000 children. When everyone was accounted for, they had 48,000. 4,000 gone. Dead. Murdered by weapons that should never have been fired at a protected world. In orbit, the Vector fleet broadcast a message to the Galactic Council. Their commander spoke with cold precision. "We have demonstrated our resolve. Your treaties are meaningless words. Surrender all Kythene refugees within 72 hours, or we will destroy another sanctuary." The choice is yours. The transmission ended. The Vector fleet jumped back to slip space. They left Earth burning behind them. Maya found Danny's stuffed bear in the rubble near the dormitory. The bear was singed and torn, but still recognizable. She picked it up with shaking hands. Danny was safe in the bunker, but so many others were not. The Centauri boy who always smiled. The clicking language speakers she had helped. Friends she had made and lost in a single terrible morning. She stood in the ruins holding the bear. She tried to understand how this had happened. Earth was protected. The treaty was sacred. Everyone said so. Everyone believed it. But belief did not stop kinetic strikes. Faith did not bring back the dead. The message from the attack reached human colonies across the solar system. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, the deep space stations. Everyone saw the footage. Everyone saw New Hope burning. Everyone saw the children's bodies being pulled from the rubble. Humanity had been peaceful for 200 years. They had trusted the treaty. They had believed the galaxy would protect them. They had been wrong. And something old and terrible began to wake up in the human heart. Something that had been sleeping for 2 centuries. Something the galaxy had forgotten about. The fury of humanity. Admiral Victoria Stone was 97 years old when they pulled her out of retirement. She had fought in the First Contact War. That was back when humanity first met the galaxy and learned they were not alone in the universe. She had seen Earth burn before. She had helped rebuild it, and she had spent the last 60 years in peaceful retirement. She believed the treaty would hold forever. She was wrong. They brought her to the Solar Congress in her wheelchair. Her body was old and weak now, but her mind was still sharp as broken glass. She watched the footage from New Hope 3 times. The burning buildings, the children's bodies, the crater where the medical wing used to stand. Each time she watched, her jaw grew tighter. Her eyes grew harder, colder. The Congress wanted her advice. They wanted her wisdom. They wanted her to tell them what to do. She listened to them argue for 2 hours. Some wanted to appeal to the Galactic Council. Others wanted economic sanctions. A few politicians suggested negotiating with the Vector, finding a peaceful solution. Finally, Admiral Victoria Stone spoke. Her voice was old and rough, but it carried the weight of someone who had seen war, someone who knew its true cost. "They killed our children," she said slowly. Each word was heavy. "They burned our trust. They believe we forgot how to fight." She paused and looked around the room. Every eye was on her. "We did not forget. We simply chose not to. That choice ends today." The Congress fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. A young representative from Mars stood up. His voice was uncertain. "Admiral, with respect, we have been peaceful for 2 centuries. We do not have a military fleet. We only have defensive stations." Victoria smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who knows a secret. "Is that what you think?" She pressed a button on her wheelchair's control panel. A holographic display appeared above the Congress floor. It showed the Kuiper Belt, the region far beyond Neptune where ice and rock drifted in the darkness. The display zoomed in on what looked like mining facilities. Dozens of them spread across the belt. Then the facilities transformed. The mining equipment retracted into the structures. Hull plates slid away. Weapons emerged from hidden compartments. Ship hangars opened. They were not mining facilities at all. They were warships, 60 of them, hidden in plain sight for decades. Disguised as commercial operations, the Congress stared in complete shock, mouths hanging open. "The First Fleet," Victoria said quietly. "How long?" someone asked. Their voice was barely a whisper. "How long have they been there?" "Since the day we signed the treaty," Victoria answered. "We trusted the galaxy, But we also remembered what happened when trust was not enough. We prepared. We researched. We built. Just in case the day came when words were not sufficient. She looked at the burning footage of Earth one more time. That day has come. Captain Alan Price was 42 years old. He had been 8 when his family arrived at New Hope Complex. Their colony had been destroyed by raiders. Alan's parents died in the attack. He grew up in those halls at New Hope. He learned to read in that library. He made his first friends in those courtyards. He had his first kiss behind the dormitory building that no longer existed. When the call came to mobilize the First Fleet, Alan was running a cargo route between Mars and the asteroid belt. He turned his ship around immediately. He headed for the Kuiper belt at maximum speed. Other ships did the same. Thousands of human vessels converging on the hidden shipyards. Pilots, engineers, soldiers, all of them coming home to fight. Alan arrived at Shipyard 7 and stood looking at his new command. The heavy cruiser Retribution. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. 300 meters of armor and weapons. Technology that should not exist. Engines that pushed the laws of physics. Weapon systems built from research spanning 200 years. The ship's AI activated when Alan stepped onto the bridge. The voice was calm and professional. "Welcome aboard, Captain Price. All systems are operational. Crew is reporting for duty." Then the AI asked a question that sent chills down Alan's spine. "When do we hunt?" Alan sat in the captain's chair. It felt right. Like it had been waiting for him his entire life. "Soon," he said. "First, I need to understand what we have." His tactical officer, Lieutenant Paul Green, brought up the weapons display on the main screen. Alan stared at the list. His eyes grew wider with each item. Kinetic harpoons that moved at 8% light speed. Antimatter warheads. Plasma cannons reverse-engineered from a dozen alien species and improved. Made better. Experimental weapons with names like Gravity Well and Phase Disruptor. "We spent 200 years studying every species in the galaxy," Paul explained. His voice was proud. "Their weapons, their shields, their tactics. We learned from all of them. Then we made everything better," Paul continued. "Better how?" Alan asked. Paul brought up a demonstration on the screen. "Our missiles do not just fly in straight lines. They think, they adapt. If the enemy develops a countermeasure, the next missile learns from it and changes tactics." He switched to another display. "Our armor is not just thick metal. It is smart. Reactive. The first hit teaches it how to resist the second hit. Each attack makes us stronger." Alan felt something cold settle in his chest. Humanity had pretended to be peaceful. They had played the role of protected children. But underneath, they had been preparing for war. Studying, learning, building. "How good are we?" Alan asked quietly. Paul met his eyes. His expression was serious. "Sir, we could fight the entire Galactic Council fleet and have a reasonable chance of winning." The First Fleet assembled in the darkness beyond Neptune. 60 warships that officially did not exist. Crews that had trained in secret for decades. Admiral Victoria Stone addressed them from her flagship, the dreadnought Vengeance. Her image appeared on every ship's screen. She sat in her wheelchair, but her presence filled the room. "You know what happened to Earth," she said. Her voice was strong despite her age. "You know what the Vector did. The galaxy is debating, discussing, negotiating. While they talk, more children die." She paused and let that sink in. "We are done talking. We are done trusting treaties. We are done being protected." Her eyes blazed with cold fury. "Our mission is simple. Find the Vector fleet that attacked Earth. Destroy it completely. Then make sure the galaxy understands that attacking human children is a mistake nobody will ever make again." She looked directly into the camera. Some of you will not come home. Some of you will die in the black between stars. But you will die knowing you protected what matters. You will die knowing you made them pay. Victoria's hands gripped the arms of her wheelchair. Now let us show the Vector what happens when you wake a sleeping giant. Before the fleet launched, Admiral Stone broadcast a message to the Galactic Council. Not a request, not a plea. A statement delivered with the cold precision of a surgical knife. Members of the Council, humanity accepted sanctuary status believing you would honor your treaties. We were naive. The Vector Dominion has demonstrated that treaties mean nothing without force to back them. Her voice was ice cold. We agree with their assessment. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Covenant of Protected Worlds. We will handle the Vector ourselves. She let that statement hang in the air for a moment. Any species that interferes will be considered hostile. Any species that aids the Vector will share their fate. Do not test us. The council chambers erupted in chaos. The Hive collective representative shouted about galactic law. The Merchant Guild threatened economic sanctions. The Concordat offered mediation. Dozens of species talked over each other, demanding humanity reconsider, demanding they follow proper procedures. Admiral Stone ended the transmission without responding. Words were done. Only action remained now. Intelligence networks that had been dormant for decades suddenly activated across the galaxy. Human agents embedded in 100 civilizations. Traders, diplomats, scientists. People nobody suspected. They all worked together, feeding information back to human intelligence headquarters on Mars. Within 6 hours, they found the Vector strike fleet. It was hiding in the Corvin Nebula, a region of dense gas clouds that disrupted most sensors. The Vector thought they were safe there. They thought nobody could track them through the interference. They were wrong. Humans had mapped the Corvin Nebula down to individual gas clouds. Human sensors could detect the heat bloom of ship reactors through 3 light-years of interference. Technology shared by the Concordat, improved by human engineers, turned into a weapon. The First Fleet jumped to slip space. Destination: Corvin Nebula. Time to target: 14 hours. On the bridge of retribution, Captain Alan Price studied the tactical display. 12 red icons. 12 Vector dreadnoughts. The same ships that had fired on Earth. The same ships that had killed 4,000 children. His hands were steady on the controls. His voice was calm when he spoke. But inside, fire burned. Ice burned. Something that was both rage and purpose, refined into perfect clarity. Target acquisition in 10 seconds, Paul reported. Weapons free when ready. Every ship, every gun, everything we have, Alan ordered. Paul looked at him. His voice was quiet. Sir, that fleet has 12,000 crew. Soldiers following orders. Alan thought of Maya finding her brother's toy bear in the rubble. He thought of Dr. Grant singing lullabies as the world ended. He thought of Commander Morrison and his crew choosing to die rather than abandon their post. They had 4,000 children, Alan said. His voice was hard. Children who never got to grow up. Children who never got to follow orders or make choices. They were just killed. He looked at Paul directly. Target locked. Yes, sir. All weapons locked and ready. Alan's finger hovered over the firing authorization button. One button. One choice. Cross this line, and there was no going back. Humanity would become killers. Avengers. Warriors again. He thought of the children still alive in New Hope's bunkers. Still scared. Still vulnerable. Still needing someone to stand between them and the darkness. He pressed the button. Fire everything. 60 ships opened fire at once. Thousands of missiles launched into space. Hundreds of energy weapons discharged. The Corvin Nebula lit up like a star being born. The Vector fleet had 3 seconds of warning. Their sensors screamed alerts. Their shields came up at maximum power. It did not matter. Human weapons punched through vector shields like they were not even there. Kinetic harpoons moving faster than thought. Antimatter warheads that converted matter to pure energy. Missiles that learned and adapted in flight. The Vector tried to fight back. Their plasma cannons were legendary weapons. Their dreadnoughts had broken siege lines that held for decades. They poured fire into the human fleet with weapons designed to crack fortress worlds. Human ships shrugged off the impacts. Their armor was not just thick. It was intelligent, reactive. Every hit taught the armor how to resist the next one. The Vector watched in absolute horror as their most powerful weapons became progressively weaker with each shot. Alan watched his tactical display as red icons winked out one by one. Ships exploding. Reactors failing. Hulls breaching and venting atmosphere. The Vector fleet died in 17 minutes. When it was over, there was nothing left but debris and expanding clouds of gas. 12,000 enemy dead. The human fleet suffered 47 casualties, all from a single ship that took a suicide ramming attempt. The destroyer Defiant. Its captain managed to kill the ramming ship before both vessels exploded. Alan stared at the empty space where the Vector fleet had been. He felt nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just cold clarity. This was war. This was the price of hurting human children. A message came in from Admiral Stone. 2 words only. Continue hunting. The First Fleet turned toward Vector space, toward the home world where the orders had come from, toward the government that had decided treaties meant nothing. Humanity was coming, and there would be no mercy. The First Fleet jumped through slip space toward Vector Prime. The journey should have taken 3 days at safe speeds. Captain Alan Price ordered the engines pushed past their safety limits. They arrived in 14 hours. The ships screamed with the strain. Metal groaned under impossible stress. But they held together. Human engineering had always been good at pushing past supposed limits. Vector Prime was a fortress world. 3 billion inhabitants lived on the surface. Orbital defense platforms surrounded the planet like a metal ring. Each platform bristled with weapons. A home defense fleet of 87 warships patrolled the system. Every military asset the Dominion could muster, all gathered to protect their homeworld. It would not be enough. The human fleet emerged from slip space at the edge of the system. Alarms screamed across Vector Prime. Warning sirens wailed in every city. The home defense fleet scrambled. Orbital platforms powered their weapons to maximum. Citizens looked up at the sky. They saw death approaching. Captain Price opened a channel on all frequencies. Every ship in the system would hear this. Every station. Every listening post. The entire galaxy was watching now. Dozens of species had telescopes and sensors pointed at Vector space. They would all witness what came next. People of Vector Prime. Alan's voice was calm and clear. Your government attacked a protected world. They murdered 4,000 children who were under sanctuary. They believed treaties were words that could be burned. He paused for effect. They were right. Treaties without teeth are meaningless. Empty promises, but they forgot something important. His voice grew harder. Humanity remembers what we were before we chose peace. When you kill our children, we become that again. Your government has one chance to avoid total destruction. Surrender, face trial for war crimes, or die. You have 60 seconds to decide. The Vector government did not respond. Their culture had no word for surrender. 3,000 years of expansion, 3,000 years of conquest. They had never retreated, never given ground, never backed down. The home defense fleet charged forward. 87 ships. Brave warriors following their code. They would fight to the last ship, to the last breath. Because that was who they were. Alan watched them come. He felt something almost like respect. They were brave, honorable in their own way. But they had killed children. All ships, Alan ordered. Weapons free. Show them what humanity learned in 200 years of preparation. The battle began. 87 Vector ships versus 60 human ships. The numbers favored the Vector. The technology favored humanity. Human weapons tore through Vector defenses like paper. Kinetic harpoons punched holes through armor plating. Antimatter warheads vaporized entire sections of ships. Plasma cannons, improved from alien designs, melted hulled metal like butter. The orbital defense platforms opened fire. Hundreds of missiles streaked toward the human fleet. Energy beams powerful enough to cut moons in half. Human point defense systems activated. Thousands of small laser turrets tracked incoming threats. The missiles exploded harmlessly in space. The energy beams scattered against reactive shields. Lieutenant Paul Green watched his tactical screen with amazement. "Sir, their weapons are barely scratching our paint. Our shields are adapting faster than they can adjust their targeting." "Then let us end this quickly," Alan said. "Target their command ships first. Cut off their coordination." 3 Vector command cruisers exploded within seconds of each other. The home defense fleet's careful formations collapsed into chaos. The Vector commanders realized they could not win. But they were warriors. They would not run. Some Vector ships attempted ramming attacks. Desperate maneuvers. They accelerated to maximum speed. Aimed their entire ship at human vessels like guided missiles. Human ships simply moved out of the way. Their engines were faster. Their computers calculated trajectories instantly. They danced around the ramming attempts like matadors avoiding bulls. Other Vector ships closed to point-blank range. They fired everything they had from mere kilometers away. Overlapping fields of fire. Concentrated destruction. The human ship Fury took the full brunt of 3 Vector dreadnoughts firing at once. The armor glowed white-hot. Warning alarms screamed on the bridge. But the smart armor learned. Adapted. The molecular structure changed in real time. The second volley did less damage. The third volley barely left scorch marks. Then Fury returned fire. At point-blank range, human weapons were devastating. All 3 Vector dreadnoughts broke apart in explosions visible from the planet below. The battle raged for 34 minutes. When it ended, the Vector home defense fleet was destroyed. 87 ships reduced to floating wreckage. Brave warriors dead, fighting for their home until the very end. The space around Vector Prime filled with debris. Pieces of ships, bodies floating in the void. The orbital defense platforms were next. They were stationary targets, unable to move or dodge. Human missiles found them one by one. Each platform exploded in a brief flash of light. Within minutes, Vector Prime's orbital defenses were gone. The planet was defenseless now. Admiral Victoria Stone's image appeared on every screen across Vector Prime. In every home, every government building, every military base. Her wheelchair-bound figure looked small, but her presence was enormous. "Your military is destroyed," she said. Her voice echoed across the planet. "Your defenses are gone. We could turn your world to glass right now. Burn your cities like you burned our children. Kill your families like you killed ours." She paused. Let the fear sink in. "But we are not you. We are not murderers of innocents. We want justice, not genocide." Her eyes were cold as space itself. "The government officials responsible for ordering the attack on Earth have 1 hour to surrender themselves. If they do not, we will begin orbital bombardment. We will target government buildings, military bases, infrastructure. We will cripple your civilization." She leaned forward slightly in her wheelchair. "Your leaders have already killed 4,000 of our children. Do not let them kill millions of your people too. Make them face justice. 1 hour." The transmission ended. On Vector Prime, panic spread through the government chambers. The military commanders who ordered the attack on Earth looked at each other with desperate eyes. They were trapped. Surrender meant facing human justice, almost certain death. But if they refused, millions would die. Their own people would suffer. The Supreme Commander of Vector spoke first. He was an old warrior, covered in scars from 100 battles. I gave the order, he said quietly. I believed the treaty was meaningless. I was wrong. I will surrender myself. Other commanders nodded slowly. One by one, they agreed. Better that a few face justice than their entire civilization be destroyed. 47 minutes after Admiral Stone's ultimatum, a small shuttle launched from Vector Prime. It carried no weapons. Its transponder broadcast surrender codes. Alan watched it approach on his tactical screen. Shuttle is requesting permission to dock with Vengeance, Paul reported. They say they have the war criminals aboard. Grant permission, Alan said, but scan that shuttle for weapons and explosives. Trust nothing. The shuttle was clean. 17 Vector government and military officials stepped out. They were placed in restraints immediately, taken to holding cells. The Supreme Commander was the last to exit. He looked at Admiral Stone with something like respect in his eyes. You defeated us completely, he said. Your species was stronger than we believed. Victoria stared at him from her wheelchair. Her face showed no emotion. We did not want to be strong. We wanted to be peaceful. You forced this upon us. Now you will face the consequences. The war criminals were transported to Mars. They would stand trial before a human court. The galaxy would watch every moment. But Admiral Stone was not finished. She broadcast another message, this time to the entire galaxy. Every species, every government, every civilization would hear this. This is Admiral Victoria Stone of the Human First Fleet. We have destroyed the Vector forces responsible for attacking Earth. We have captured their leaders. They will face justice. Her voice grew harder. But our intelligence networks have uncovered something else. 3 other species helped the Vector plan and execute the attack. The Krill Consortium provided the weapons. The Draxian Empire provided the coordinates. The Hive Collective provided intelligence about Earth's defenses. She paused to let that information spread. These 3 species believed they could hide their involvement. They believed we would not discover their guilt. They were wrong. Her eyes blazed with cold fury. To the Krill Consortium, the Draxian Empire, and the Hive Collective, we are coming for you next. Surrender those responsible or share the Vector's fate. You have 72 hours. The galaxy erupted in chaos. The Krill Consortium immediately denied involvement. They claimed it was a misunderstanding, a rogue operation. They begged for negotiations. The Draxian Empire responded with defiance. They said they feared no one. They dared humanity to attack them. They gathered their fleets. The Hive Collective said nothing. They simply began moving their military assets into defensive positions. On the bridge of retribution, Alan received new orders. The First Fleet was splitting up. Different targets, different missions. Captain Price, Admiral Stone's message read, Take Battle Group Alpha. 20 ships. Your target is the Krill Consortium supply bases. They provided the kinetic strike weapons used on Earth. Destroy those bases. Show them the price of arming child killers. Alan looked at his crew. They were tired. They had been fighting for days, but their eyes burned with determination. Set course for Krell space, Alan ordered. Maximum speed. We have 72 hours to make them regret helping the Vector. Battle Group Alpha jumped to slip space. 20 human warships heading into Krill territory. The Krill Consortium watched them come. They tried to hide their weapon factories, move them to remote asteroid bases, secret facilities in deep space. It did not work. Human intelligence found every location. 200 years of embedded agents paid off now. Alan led surgical strikes on each facility. Quick attacks, precise targeting. No civilian casualties, only military targets destroyed. The Krill watched their weapons industry burn, the factories where they built kinetic strike rods, the same weapons that killed 4,000 children. Each facility exploded in brilliant flashes, years of work destroyed in seconds. After the fifth strike, the Krill consortium surrendered. They handed over the officials who made the deal with the Vector. They begged for mercy. Alan accepted their surrender, but he left them with a warning. If any Krill vessel ever approaches Earth again, he broadcast, if any Krill official ever threatens a human child, we will remember, and we will return. Meanwhile, other human battle groups hunted the Draxian Empire and the Hive Collective. The Draxians were warriors, proud and fierce. They gathered 200 warships for a counterattack. They set a trap in an asteroid field. They were confident in their numbers. They were about to learn a terrible lesson. Commander Sarah Chen led Battle Group Beta into the asteroid field, 20 human ships against 200 Draxian vessels. The Draxians thought they had won. They closed the trap, surrounded the human ships on all sides. Then Commander Chen activated experimental weapons. Something new, something terrible. Gravity wells. The asteroids began to move. Not from engines, not from thrusters. The human ships were creating artificial gravity fields, manipulating the laws of physics themselves. Massive asteroids accelerated toward the Draxian fleet. The Draxians tried to shoot them down, but there were too many, too fast. Asteroids weighing millions of tons slammed into Draxian ships. The impacts crushed hulls, shattered armor, broke dreadnoughts in half. The Draxian fleet panicked. They tried to escape the asteroid field, but the human ships controlled the space around them. More asteroids fell. More ships died. Commander Chen opened a channel to the surviving Draxians. "You thought you trapped us in here with you," she said coldly. "You were wrong. You are trapped in here with us." The battle of the asteroid field lasted 40 minutes. 200 Draxian ships reduced to 63 survivors. They fled in terror, spreading stories of humans who could command gravity itself. The galaxy watched all of this with growing fear. Humanity had been peaceful for 200 years. Everyone thought they were weak, soft, protected children who forgot how to fight. They were wrong. Humanity had been studying, learning, building, preparing for this exact moment. And now, the sleeping giant was awake. And it was very, very angry. The Draxian survivors fled back to their home system with terrifying stories. Ships crushed by asteroids moving on their own. Human vessels that commanded gravity like ancient gods. 200 warships destroyed in less than an hour. The Draxian Empire called an emergency council. Their military leaders gathered in their war room. They looked at the tactical reports with pale faces. "This is impossible," one general said. His voice shook. "No species can manipulate gravity like this. The technology should not exist." "But it does exist," the Supreme War leader said quietly. "We watched it happen. 200 of our best ships. Gone." He looked around the room at his officers. "We made a terrible mistake. We helped the Vector attack Earth. We believed humans were weak. We believed the treaty made them soft. We were wrong about everything." An older admiral spoke up. His voice was bitter. "What do we do now? Surrender like the Krill? Beg for mercy like cowards?" "No," the Supreme War leader said. "We are Draxian. We are warriors. But we are not fools. We cannot win this war." He made a decision that would change everything. "Send a message to the humans. Tell them we will surrender the officials responsible. Tell them we acknowledge our mistake. But tell them this with honor, not from fear." The message was sent within the hour. Admiral Victoria Stone rated on her flagship. She nodded slowly. There was a difference between warriors who fought bravely and murderers who killed children. The Draxians had helped plan the attack. They were guilty, but at least they faced their guilt with honor. "Accept their surrender," she ordered. "Take the officials into custody. But tell the Draxians this: we respect warriors. We respect honor. What we cannot forgive is the murder of innocent children. Remember that." 2 of the 3 conspirators had surrendered now. Only the Hive Collective remained. The Hive Collective was different from other species. They were not individuals. They were billions of small creatures working as one mind. One consciousness spread across trillions of bodies. They did not surrender. They did not negotiate. They simply waited. Commander Marcus Webb led Battle Group Gamma toward Hive space. 15 human ships, the smallest battle group, but the most dangerous mission. The Hive Collective did not have traditional military bases or fleets. They had worlds, entire planets covered in their collective consciousness, billions of bodies moving with one purpose. "Sir, we are approaching Hive Sector 7, Lieutenant Kim reported. Sensors are detecting massive biosignatures, millions of Hive ships." Marcus studied the display. The Hive had created living ships, grown from organic matter. Each ship was technically alive, part of the greater collective mind. They provided intelligence about Earth's defenses to the Vector. Marcus said quietly, "They knew children would die. They helped anyway." He opened a channel, broadcasting to the entire Hive Collective. "Hive Collective, this is Commander Webb of the human fleet. You helped plan the attack on Earth. You provided intelligence that led to 4,000 deaths. Surrender those responsible or face the consequences." The response came in a strange, multi-layered voice. Thousands of voices speaking as one. "We are the Hive. We have no individuals to surrender. We acted as one. We are one. You cannot punish part of us without punishing all of us." Marcus felt cold settle in his chest. They were right. The Hive Collective had no leaders, no officials, no individuals. They were all guilty together, or all innocent together. "Then you have made your choice," Marcus said. But he did not attack. Not yet. He sent an urgent message to Admiral Stone. "Admiral, we have a problem. The Hive cannot surrender individuals because they have no individuals. Request guidance." Victoria Stone sat in her wheelchair aboard the Vengeance. She thought about this problem for a long time. How do you punish a species that has no individuals? How do you demand justice when there is no one person to hold responsible? Finally, she made a decision that would shock the galaxy. "Commander Webb, you will not attack the Hive worlds. Instead, you will implement protocol isolation." "Protocol isolation, Admiral?" Marcus asked. He had never heard of it. "The Hive Collective exists by connection," Victoria explained. "Their consciousness spreads across light years through quantum communication. Cut those connections, and they become isolated, separate, individual." She paused. "Create a quantum disruption field around their core worlds. Sever their connections. Force them to exist as individuals for 1 year. Let them experience what it means to be alone, to be separated from everything they know. Then they will understand what they did to those children, making them orphans, alone in the universe." Marcus understood. It was a punishment more terrible than death for the Hive. To be cut off from the collective consciousness. To be individual, alone. Human ships deployed quantum disruptor satellites around 3 Hive worlds. The devices activated. Invisible fields spread across entire planets. The Hive Collective's consciousness fractured. For the first time in their species' history, individual Hive creatures experienced isolation. They could not feel the greater mind. They could not share thoughts. They were alone inside their own heads. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. The Hive creatures panicked. They did not know how to function as individuals. They had never been alone before. The galaxy watched this punishment with mixed feelings. Some species thought it was too cruel. Others thought it was perfect justice. The hive had helped create orphans. Now they knew what it felt like to be alone. Admiral Stone broadcast another message to the galaxy. The 3 conspirators have faced justice. Vector Prime's leaders await trial. The Krill Consortium surrendered their guilty officials. The Draxian Empire did the same. The Hive Collective will experience isolation for their crimes. Her voice was firm and clear. But this is not the end. This is the beginning. The Covenant of Protected Worlds failed. Treaties without enforcement are meaningless words. Humanity will no longer trust the galaxy to protect us. She paused for effect. We are establishing a new system. Any world can request human protection. But that protection comes with human presence. Human ships will patrol. Human soldiers will guard. Human intelligence will watch. The Galactic Council erupted in protests. Multiple species sent angry messages. They accused humanity of becoming a military empire, of using the tragedy to seize power. Admiral Stone responded with cold facts. 4,000 children died because the galaxy failed to enforce its own laws. We trusted you. We believed in your treaties. Children paid the price for our trust. That will never happen again. But not all species protested. Some remembered their own tragedies, their own times when treaties failed them. The Zephyr Collective was the first to request human protection. Their worlds had been raided by pirates for decades. The Galactic Council promised help but never sent it. Within days, human ships arrived in Zephyr space. The pirates saw the warships and fled. The Zephyr people celebrated. For the first time in decades, they felt safe. Other species watched. They saw the Zephyr protected. They remembered their own vulnerabilities. The Centauri Republic requested protection next. Then the Lyran Confederacy. Then a dozen smaller species. Within a month, human ships patrolled 50 different star systems, protecting worlds that the Galactic Council had failed to defend. The Council watched their authority crumble. Species no longer trusted them. They trusted humanity's strength instead. But there was opposition forming. A coalition of species who feared human power. They believed humanity was becoming too strong, too dominant. The Concordat led this coalition. They had been humanity's friends once, but now they feared what humans had become. Ambassador Thelen of the Concordat spoke before the Galactic Council. Humanity claims they seek justice, but look at what they have done. They destroyed entire fleets. They occupy star systems. They punish species with cruel experiments. This is not justice. This is tyranny. He pointed at the display showing human ships across the galaxy. 200 years ago, we helped humanity achieve peace. We trusted them to be peaceful. Now they have revealed their true nature. Warriors, conquerors, hiding behind the excuse of dead children. His words were carefully chosen, designed to turn the galaxy against humanity. Some species agreed. They began gathering their own fleets, preparing for confrontation. Admiral Stone learned of this coalition through intelligence reports. She called a meeting with her senior commanders. Captain Alan Price attended via hologram from the Retribution. Commander Sarah Chen joined from her ship. Commander Marcus Webb linked in from Hive Space. The Concordat is forming an alliance against us, Victoria said. 15 species have committed ships. They are calling it the Coalition for Galactic Peace. She smiled bitterly at the name. They claim we have gone too far, that we are becoming tyrants. They demand we withdraw from all protected systems and submit to Council authority. Alan spoke first. His voice was tired but determined. Admiral, we have lost good people in these battles. The destroyer defiant, the cruiser steadfast. Nearly 400 crew members dead. Have we gone too far? Victoria looked at each of them through the hologram displays. "Did we start this war?" she asked. "No, ma'am," they answered together. "Did we attack civilian targets?" "No, ma'am." "Did we kill children in their sleep?" "No, ma'am." Victoria's voice grew stronger. "We did not choose this path. It was forced upon us. 4,000 children died because the galaxy's laws were meaningless. We made those laws have meaning again. That is not tyranny. That is justice." She leaned forward in her wheelchair. "The Coalition for Galactic Peace is gathering 15 species and over 1,000 ships. They will demand we surrender our position. They will threaten us with overwhelming force." Sarah Chen asked the obvious question. "What do we do, Admiral?" Victoria Stone's eyes were cold as deep space. "We show them what happens when you threaten humanity. We show them that numbers alone do not win wars. Technology wins wars. Training wins wars. Purpose wins wars." She pulled up a star chart. "The Coalition is gathering at Sanctum Station, the old Galactic Council headquarters. They think the location is symbolic. Neutral ground where they can force us to submit." Her finger pointed at the station. "They are wrong. We will meet them there, but not to surrender, to end this, once and for all." Marcus Webb spoke carefully. "Admiral, the First Fleet has 60 ships. The Coalition has over 1,000. Even with our technology advantage, those are difficult odds." Victoria smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Who said we only have 60 ships?" She pressed a button. A new display appeared. It showed the Kuiper Belt again. But this time, different facilities activated. Larger ones, hidden even deeper. "The Second Fleet," Victoria said quietly. 200 ships, more advanced than the first, built in complete secrecy. Even I did not know about some of them until recently. She looked at her commanders. "Our ancestors prepared for this day. They knew that eventually someone would test us, would push us, would force us to reveal our full strength. That day has come." The commanders stared at the display in shock. 200 more warships, hidden for decades. "When do we move, Admiral?" Hallen asked. "The Coalition gives us 72 hours to comply with their demands," Victoria said. "We will arrive at Sanctum Station in 71 hours, with our full fleet, all 260 ships." She looked at each commander. "This will be the largest space battle in galactic history. The Coalition thinks they can intimidate us with numbers. We will teach them what humanity learned in 200 years of preparation. We will show them why you do not threaten those who protect children." Her voice rang with authority. "Gather the First Fleet. Rendezvous with the Second Fleet. Prepare for battle. And remember, we are not fighting for conquest. We are fighting so that never again will children die because treaties were meaningless." The commanders saluted. "For the children," they said together. "For the children," Victoria Stone agreed. The human fleets began to gather. First Fleet and Second Fleet combining for the first time. 260 warships, the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. They jumped to slip space. Destination: Sanctum Station. The Coalition for Galactic Peace waited there. 1,000 ships from 15 species, confident in their numbers, certain that humanity would back down. They were about to learn a terrible lesson. The same lesson the Vector learned. The same lesson the Draxians learned. Never threaten human children. Never test humanity's resolve. Because the sleeping giant was fully awake now, and it would not sleep again. The Coalition for Galactic Peace assembled at Sanctum Station. Over 1,000 warships from 15 different species filled the space around the ancient council headquarters, the largest military gathering in galactic history. Ambassador Thelen of the Concordat stood in the command center. He looked at the fleet display with satisfaction. Ships from the Concordat, the Merchant Guild, the Zelnar Empire, the Korathi Federation. 15 species united against humanity's aggression. They will see this force and understand. Thelen said to his advisors. Humanity cannot stand against the united galaxy. They will surrender their occupied systems. They will submit to council authority. Peace will be restored. His military commander was less confident. Ambassador, our intelligence reports say humanity has advanced weapons. The Vector fleet was destroyed in minutes. The Draxians lost 200 ships. The Vector were overconfident. Thelen replied. The Draxians fell into a trap. We have numbers. We have unity. Humanity has 60 ships. We have 1,000. The math is simple. But the math was about to change. On Earth, Maya stood at the memorial wall, 4,000 names carved in stone. She touched her finger to some of the names. Friends she had made. Friends she had lost. Danny stood beside her. He still carried his stuffed bear everywhere. The bear that had survived the attack. He was 7 years old now. Old enough to understand what had happened. Old enough to remember. Maya, are the ships going to fight again? Danny asked quietly. Yes, Maya said. She would not lie to him. Some species want to stop humans from protecting other children. They say we are too strong now. But we only got strong because no one protected us, Danny said. His young voice held confusion. We trusted them and they failed. Why are they angry at us? Maya knelt down to his level. She looked into his eyes. Because some people fear strength more than they value justice. They are more worried about human power than about dead children. She hugged him. But our people will not back down. Not anymore. Never again will we trust others to protect us. Above Earth, the combined human fleet assembled. First Fleet and Second Fleet together for the first time. 260 warships arranged in perfect formation. Admiral Victoria Stone sat in her wheelchair on the bridge of the Vengeance. She was 97 years old. Her body was weak. But her mind was sharp and her will was iron. All ships report ready, Admiral, her communications officer said. Victoria looked at the fleet display. Each icon represented a ship. Each ship represented hundreds of crew members. Humans who volunteered to fight, to protect, to make sure children never died from broken promises again. Open a fleet-wide channel, Victoria ordered. Her image appeared on every ship's main screen. 260 bridges, over 50,000 crew members, all watching her. 200 years ago, humanity chose peace. She began. Her voice was strong despite her age. We put down our weapons. We trusted the galaxy to protect us. We believed in laws and treaties. She paused. 4,000 children died because we were wrong to trust. Because treaties without enforcement are just empty words. Because the galaxy's promises meant nothing. Her eyes blazed. We rose up. We avenged those children. We punished the guilty. And we said never again. Never again would we be helpless. Never again would we trust others for our protection. She gestured at the fleet display. Now the galaxy fears our strength. They demand we surrender. They threaten us with overwhelming numbers. They forget what we have already proven. Numbers do not win wars. Technology wins wars. Purpose wins wars. And no one has more purpose than those who fight for dead children. Her voice rang with authority. Today we face the coalition for galactic peace. 1,000 ships against our 260. They think those odds favor them. They are wrong. We will show them what humanity built in 200 years of preparation. We will show them why you do not threaten those who remember. She raised her fist. For the children who died. For the children we protect now. For the children who will never again die from broken promises. We fight. 50,000 voices answered as one. For the children. The fleet jumped to slip space. Destination: Sanctum Station. Time to arrival: 4 hours. At Sanctum Station, Ambassador Thillen received the news. Sir, sensors detect slip space signatures. Multiple contacts incoming. The human fleet, Thillen said with satisfaction. They are coming to surrender. How many ships? The sensor officer checked his screen, then checked again. His face went pale. Sir, I am reading. 260 contacts. Silence filled the command center. That is impossible, Thillen said. Intelligence said they had 60 ships. Where did 200 more come from? Unknown, sir. But the signatures are definitely human design. All emerging from slip space in coordinated formation. Thillen felt ice in his stomach. 260 ships. Not 60. Had humanity lied about their fleet size? Had they hidden ships somewhere? It does not matter, he said, trying to sound confident. We still outnumber them. 1,000 against 260. We have the advantage. But his voice sounded less certain now. The human fleet emerged from slip space in perfect formation. 260 warships arranged in battle groups, each ship bristling with weapons, each ship ready for war. Captain Alan Price stood on the bridge of the Retribution. His ship was part of Battle Group Alpha. 20 ships under his direct command. Sir, the Coalition fleet is in defensive formation around Sanctum Station, Lieutenant Paul Green reported. They are not advancing. They are hoping we will back down, Alan said. They still think numbers will intimidate us. He opened a channel to the Coalition fleet. This is Captain Alan Price of the human fleet. You demanded we surrender our protection of vulnerable worlds. You threatened us with military force. You chose confrontation over dialogue. His voice was cold. We gave you a chance to stand aside. You refused. Now you will learn what the Vector learned. What the Draxians learned. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not back down. Not when children's lives are at stake. Ambassador Thillen responded. His voice tried to sound authoritative. Captain Price, you are outnumbered 4-1. Your technology may be advanced, but numbers matter. We do not wish to fight. Withdraw now, and we can negotiate. Negotiate. Alan's voice was ice. Like the galaxy negotiated when Earth was attacked. Like the Council negotiated while 4,000 children died. We are done negotiating. You made your choice. Now face the consequences. He cut the channel. All battle groups, weapons free. Target their command ships first. Disable their coordination. Then we sweep through their formations like a storm. 260 human ships opened fire. The Battle of Sanctum Station began. Thousands of missiles launched simultaneously. Kinetic harpoons moving at impossible speeds. Plasma beams cutting through space. Antimatter warheads that converted matter to pure energy. The Coalition fleet's shields came up. Energy barriers designed to stop normal weapons. They had been tested against dozens of different alien weapon types. They had never been tested against human weapons. The kinetic harpoons punched through the shields like they did not exist, moving so fast that the energy barriers could not react. They struck hull plating with devastating force. 3 Coalition command ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. Impossible, Thillen shouted. Their weapons should not penetrate our shields. Sir, they are using velocity-based weapons that bypass energy shields completely, his tactical officer explained frantically. And their energy weapons are frequency shifting faster than our shields can adapt. The Coalition fleet tried to return fire. 1,000 ships launched their own missiles and beams. A massive wave of destruction aimed at the human fleet. Human point defense systems activated. Thousands of small laser turrets tracked each incoming threat. Advanced targeting computers calculated trajectories in microseconds. 97% of the Coalition's weapons were destroyed before reaching their targets. The remaining 3% hit human shields and were absorbed harmlessly. The coalition commanders watched in horror as their massive volley accomplished nothing. "How is this possible?" one captain asked desperately. Commander Sarah Chin led Battle Group Beta against the Concordat ships, 20 human vessels against 200 Concordat warships. "Deploy gravity wells," Sarah ordered. The experimental weapons activated. Artificial gravity fields spread through space. Debris from the destroyed command ships began to move. Not randomly, with purpose. Large pieces of destroyed ships accelerated toward the Concordat formation. The metal wreckage moved faster and faster, pulled by invisible hands. The Concordat ships tried to shoot down the debris, but there was too much, moving too fast from too many directions. Wreckage slammed into Concordat shields. The impacts overloaded the energy barriers. Shields collapsed. Then the wreckage hit hulls directly. 30 Concordat ships were disabled in minutes. Not destroyed, just crippled, unable to fight but with crews alive. Sarah opened a channel to the Concordat fleet. "This is Commander Chen. You see what we can do. We could kill you all. But we are not murderers. Withdraw now or be destroyed. Choose quickly." The Concordat formation hesitated. Ships began breaking away, fleeing the battle. Within minutes, half the Concordat fleet had retreated. Ambassador Thelen watched his coalition crumble. "The Concordat is retreating. So are the Merchant Guild ships. The Zelma are pulling back." Species that came to fight humanity suddenly realized the cost. They saw their ships disabled with ease. They saw weapons they could not defend against. They chose survival over pride. Within 20 minutes, the coalition fleet had lost 300 ships. Some destroyed, some disabled, most retreated. The human fleet had taken minimal damage. A few scratched hulls, some depleted shields. No ships lost. Alan watched the coalition fleet scatter on his tactical display. What started as 1,000 ships was now 700, then 600, then 500. "They are running," Paul said with amazement. "The whole coalition is falling apart." "They came here expecting an easy victory," Alan replied. "They thought numbers would win. They forgot that we have been preparing for this day for 200 years. While they relied on old technology, we innovated. While they trusted in numbers, we perfected strategy." He opened a channel to the remaining coalition ships. "This is your final warning. Withdraw now or be destroyed. We do not want to kill you, but we will if you force us. Choose." More ships broke away. The Coalition for Galactic Peace was collapsing in real time. Ambassador Thelen stood alone in his command center. His advisors had fled. His military officers were recommending immediate retreat. His fleet was disintegrating around him. He had been so confident, so certain that the United Galaxy could stop humanity's rise to power. He had been completely wrong. "Sir, we must retreat," his military commander urged. "We have lost 40% of our fleet. The others are fleeing. We cannot win this battle." Thelen looked at the tactical display. Human ships moving through space with perfect coordination, destroying or disabling any coalition vessel that remained. It was not a battle anymore. It was a demonstration of overwhelming superiority. "Order the retreat," Thelen said quietly. His voice was defeated. "Signal our surrender." The remaining coalition ships jumped to slip space, fleeing in all directions. The great fleet that was supposed to intimidate humanity scattered like leaves in a storm. The Battle of Sanctum Station was over. It had lasted 42 minutes. The Coalition for Galactic Peace lost 374 ships destroyed or disabled. Over 100,000 casualties. The human fleet lost 0 ships, 47 crew members injured, none killed. The galaxy watched through sensor arrays and telescopes. They saw the coalition's defeat. They saw humanity's complete and total victory, and they understood a new truth. Humanity was not just strong. Humanity was dominant, the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Built in secret over 2 centuries, revealed only when children died from broken promises. Admiral Victoria Stone broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. Her final statement. Today, the Coalition for Galactic Peace learned what others learned before them. Humanity will not be intimidated. We will not surrender. We will not abandon those who need protection. Her voice was tired but firm. We did not seek this power. We did not want this responsibility. But you gave it to us when you failed to protect Earth's children, when you let treaties become meaningless words. She paused. The old order is broken. The Galactic Council failed. The Covenant of Protected Worlds failed. We will not fail. Any species that wants protection will have it. Any species that threatens the innocent will face us. This is the new reality. Her eyes softened slightly. We remember what we were: peaceful explorers, caretakers of orphans, believers in galactic law. We would return to that tomorrow if we could. But trust must be earned, and the galaxy has much to prove before we trust again. The transmission ended. On Earth, Maya watched the broadcast with Danny. Around them, other children gathered. Orphans from 100 worlds. All safe now. All protected by human strength. Is it over? Danny asked. This battle is over, Maya said. But I think everything is just beginning. The galaxy will never be the same. She looked up at the sky. Somewhere beyond the clouds, human warships patrolled. Ready to fight. Ready to protect. But we are safe now, she said quietly. Finally, truly safe. Not because of promises. Because of strength. Danny hugged his stuffed bear. I am glad we are strong now, he said. I do not want more children to die. Neither do we, Maya agreed. That is why we fight. That is why we will never stop fighting. Not until every child in the galaxy can sleep safely. The galaxy was changing. The old powers were falling. New alliances were forming. And at the center of it all stood humanity. No longer peaceful caretakers. No longer trusting children. Warriors, protectors, guardians. The sleeping giant was awake, and the galaxy would never forget. 3 months after the Battle of Sanctum Station, the galaxy looked completely different. The old Galactic Council had dissolved. Species that once controlled everything now scrambled to adapt to the new reality. Humanity did not conquer. Humanity protected. But the line between the two seemed thin to some. Admiral Victoria Stone sat in her quarters aboard the Vengeance. She was 98 years old now. The battles had taken their toll. Her doctors said she needed rest. She refused. How many worlds have requested protection? She asked her aide. 73, Admiral. Mostly smaller species. Colonies that were ignored by the Council. Planets vulnerable to pirates or raiders. Victoria nodded slowly. 73 worlds. Each one would need human ships in orbit. Human soldiers on the ground. Human intelligence watching for threats. And the opposition. Growing quieter, Admiral. After Sanctum Station, most species are afraid to challenge us directly. But there are whispers, concerns about human dominance, fear that we will become what we fought against. Victoria understood those fears. She shared them sometimes in her quiet moments. Power corrupted. History proved that. Every great empire eventually became the villain in someone else's story. Schedule a meeting, she said. Representatives from all 73 protected worlds. And invite the species who fear us. The Concordat. The Merchant Guild. Even the survivors from the Coalition. We need to talk. Really talk. Not threats. Not ultimatums. Dialogue. Her aide looked surprised. Admiral, are you sure? After they tried to destroy us. especially because they tried. Victoria said. Fear drives people to do terrible things. We need to address that fear, or eventually, someone will try again. And next time, it might actually cost lives. The meeting was scheduled for Mars. Neutral ground, the red planet where human civilization had first expanded beyond Earth. Representatives from 90 different species came. Some came willingly. Others came because they feared what would happen if they refused. They gathered in a massive dome built specifically for this conference. Thousands of delegates, hundreds of languages, all wondering what humanity wanted. Admiral Victoria Stone entered the chamber in her wheelchair. The room fell silent. Every eye turned to her. This small old woman who commanded the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. She moved to the center of the room. Her voice was amplified so everyone could hear. 3 months ago, we fought at Sanctum Station. The Coalition for Galactic Peace came to force us to surrender. They failed. Many died. Many more were wounded. She paused. I do not apologize for that battle. You threatened us. You chose confrontation. You paid the price. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. But I do not celebrate it either. War is terrible. Even when necessary. Even when justified. I have seen too much death. Too many young people dead for old people's mistakes. Her voice softened. Today, I want to talk about the future, not the past. The galaxy faces a choice. We can continue down this path of fear and conflict, or we can build something new, something better. Ambassador Thillen of the Concordat stood up. He had barely survived the Battle of Sanctum Station. Its ship had been disabled. He had watched friends die. Admiral Stone, you speak of building something new. But what you have built is a human empire. 73 worlds under your protection. Your ships in their space. Your soldiers on their ground. How is this different from conquest? Victoria looked at him directly. Because they asked us to come. Because we do not take resources. We do not demand tribute. We do not control their governments. We simply protect them from those who would harm them. For now, Thelen said. But power corrupts. You are human, not gods. Eventually, you will use this power for your own benefit. That is what empires do. Victoria nodded slowly. You are right to fear that. I fear it too. Power does corrupt. That is why I am proposing something different. She activated a holographic display. It showed a new structure, a new organization, the Federation of Protected Worlds. Not controlled by humanity. Controlled by all member species together. Each world gets a vote. Each species has a voice. Humanity provides military protection. But we do not make the decisions alone. The chamber erupted in conversation. Species talking to each other. Debating. Arguing. A representative from the Zephyr Collective spoke up. Her voice was soft but clear. Admiral, the Zephyr were the first to request human protection. You saved us from pirates that had raided our worlds for decades. The old council promised help and never delivered. You came in days. She looked around the chamber. I trust humanity more than I trust the council that failed us. At least humans keep their promises. A Lyran delegate agreed. The Lyran Confederacy was threatened by the Krill Consortium for years. We paid bribes to avoid war. Human ships arrived, and the Krill backed down immediately. No bribes, no threats, just protection. But others were not convinced. A Korathi senator stood. Today you protect. Tomorrow you demand. This federation you propose sounds good. But who controls the military? Who decides when force is used? Humanity. You still have all the real power. Victoria knew this was the critical moment, the question that would determine if this conference succeeded or failed. You are right, she admitted. Humanity has the strongest military. That is reality. We cannot pretend otherwise. She paused. But we can build checks and balances. The Federation Council votes on military action. Humanity provides the ships, but the Council decides when they are used. If we act without Council approval, member worlds can leave, can reject our protection. And if your military decides they do not care about Council votes, Thilin asked, what stops your ships from acting independently? Victoria reached down beside her wheelchair. She pulled out a small device. She held it up for everyone to see. This is a command override key. There are 7 of them. I hold one. The other 6 will be held by elected representatives of the Federation Council. If 4 of the 7 keys are used together, they can shut down any human military operation. She placed the key on the table in front of her. We are giving you control. Real control. Not the illusion of power. Actual power to stop us if we go too far. The chamber fell silent. This was unprecedented. A military power voluntarily limiting itself, giving potential enemies the ability to shut down operations. Why? Thilin asked quietly. Why give up that control? Victoria looked at him with tired eyes. Because 4,000 children died on my watch. Because we trusted a system that failed. Because I do not want to become what we fought against. Because power without accountability is tyranny. She gestured around the room. I am 98 years old. I will die soon. My generation fought for peace. My children's generation built weapons in secret. My grandchildren's generation uses those weapons to protect others. But what about the generation after that? And the one after that? Her voice was heavy with concern. Without limits, without checks, eventually humanity will abuse this power. I know this. History teaches this. So I choose to build those limits now. While I still can. While we still remember why we fight. A long silence filled the chamber. Species considered her words. Calculated risks. Weighed options. Finally, a small delegate from a species humanity had never even heard of stood up. She was barely a meter tall. Her people were called the Primi. They had been conquered and freed 3 times in the last century. I am from a small world, she said. Her voice was quiet but steady. We have no military, no weapons, no power. For generations, we have been victims, conquered by whoever wanted our resources. She looked at Victoria. The Galactic Council promised protection. They lied. They sent papers and treaties while we died. Humanity offers protection with action. You stopped the pirates raiding Zephyr worlds. You broke the krill weapons industry. You defeated the coalition in minutes. She paused. I believe you. I believe you want to protect, not conquer. My people vote yes. We joined this federation. We trust humanity. One by one, other small species stood. The vulnerable worlds, the forgotten colonies, the species the old council ignored. They voted yes. Within an hour, 47 species had joined the Federation of Protected Worlds. Not all 73 currently protected, but enough. Enough to make it real. The larger species hesitated. The Concordat, the Merchant Guild, the Zelnar Empire. They worried about human power. They feared becoming irrelevant. But they also saw the reality. The small species were uniting, creating a new power block. If the major species stayed outside, they would lose influence. After 3 days of debate, the Concordat joined. Then the Merchant Guild. Then 12 more major species. The Federation of Protected Worlds was born. 60 species united under a new system, protected by human military might, governed by democratic council, limited by command override keys. Not perfect, not ideal, but better than what came before. Captain Alan Price was promoted to admiral. He now commanded the entire Second Fleet, 200 ships patrolling 60 star systems. He stood on the bridge of the Retribution looking at a star map. Each blue dot was a protected world. Each one represented thousands or millions of lives, depending on human protection. "It is a big responsibility, sir," Lieutenant Paul Green said. "The biggest," Alan agreed. "Every day we carry the weight of these worlds. If we fail them, they die. If we abuse our power, we become the enemy." Paul was quiet for a moment. "Do you think we can do it? Protect without conquering. Stay strong without becoming tyrants." Alan thought about that question. It was the question that kept him awake at night. "I do not know," he admitted. "But we have to try. Those children died because no one protected them. We swore never again. That oath is not just about being strong enough to fight. It is about being good enough to wield that strength responsibly." On Earth, Maya was now 13 years old. She worked at the New Hope complex as a translator and teacher's assistant. The complex had been rebuilt, bigger than before. It now housed 78,000 children from across the galaxy. More orphans came every month. Children displaced by conflicts. Children who lost families to disease or accidents. Earth welcomed them all. Maya walked through the memorial garden. The wall with 4,000 names still stood. But around it now grew a beautiful garden. Flowers from 100 worlds. Trees from dozens of species. Life growing from tragedy. Danny walked beside her. He was 8 years old now. He still carried his stuffed bear sometimes, but less often. He was growing up. "Maya, do you ever think about that day?" Danny asked. "When the Vector attacked?" "Every day," Maya said honestly. "I think about the friends we lost. The people who died protecting us. Commander Morrison, Dr. Grant, so many others." "Are you angry?" Danny asked. Maya considered the question. "I was. For a long time, I was so angry. But anger burns out eventually. Now I am determined. Determined that what happened to us never happens to another child anywhere in the galaxy." She looked at the memorial wall. "These names remind us why we fight, why we stay strong, why we never trust words alone again." A Zephyr child ran past them, chasing a human child. Both laughing, both playing, both safe. "That is what they died for," Maya said quietly. "Not for revenge, not for power. For this. For children playing without fear." Admiral Victoria Stone died 6 months after the Federation was formed. She passed peacefully in her sleep. She was 99 years old. The entire galaxy mourned. Even species that had fought against her recognized her importance. She had been the bridge between the old galaxy and the new. Her funeral was held on Earth. Representatives from all 60 Federation member species attended. Even some non-member species came to pay respects. Admiral Alan Price gave the eulogy. "Admiral Stone never wanted to be a warrior," he said. His voice echoed across the ceremony. "She wanted peace. She spent 60 years in retirement believing that peace was secured." He looked at her flag-draped coffin. When that peace failed, when children died, she did not turn away. She did not hide. She rose up one final time. She led us. She taught us. She made us strong. His voice grew stronger. But most importantly, she made us responsible. She built systems to limit our power. She created checks on our authority. She remembered that today's protector can become tomorrow's tyrant if we are not careful. He saluted the coffin. "She gave us strength and wisdom. Now it is our responsibility to use both correctly. To honor her memory by being worthy of the power she helped create." Victoria Stone was buried with full military honors. Her coffin was placed in a memorial next to Commander Morrison's. 2 warriors who gave everything to protect children. 2 years after the Battle of Sanctum Station, the galaxy had stabilized. The Federation of Protected Worlds was functioning. Not perfectly. There were disputes, disagreements, arguments about when military force should be used. But it worked. Children were protected. Weak species were defended. Pirates and raiders learned to avoid Federation space. And humanity learned to share power. It was difficult, sometimes frustrating, but necessary. Maya was 15 years old now. She had been accepted to the Federation Diplomatic Academy. She would learn to speak for Earth in the new galactic order. On her last night before leaving for the academy, she visited the memorial garden. She touched the names on the wall one final time. "I am going to make you proud," she whispered to the names. "I am going to help build a galaxy where no more names need to be added to walls like this." She turned and walked away. Behind her, the memorial stood silent. A reminder of the cost of broken promises, a warning to future generations. Never again would Earth trust others for protection. Never again would humanity be weak. But also, never again would humanity forget the responsibility that came with strength. The galaxy had changed. The old order was gone. The new order was imperfect, but it was better. And somewhere in space, human warships patrolled. Silent guardians, watching, protecting, ready to fight if necessary. But hoping, always hoping, that fighting would not be necessary. Because in the end, they did not fight for conquest. They did not fight for power. They fought for children, for orphans from across the galaxy who deserved to feel safe, who deserved to grow up, who deserved a chance at life. That was humanity's purpose now. That was their oath. That was their redemption for 200 years of naive trust. The sleeping giant was awake, and it would never sleep again. But it would be a guardian, not a tyrant. A protector, not a conqueror. Admiral Alan Price stood on the observation deck of the Retribution. He looked out at the stars. Thousands of lights. Millions of worlds. Billions of lives. "We did it," he said quietly to himself. "We made them pay. We protected the weak. We built something better." He thought of Commander Morrison, that brave man who crashed his station into an enemy ship to buy children a few more minutes. "I hope you would be proud, sir," Alan said to the memory. "We remembered, we avenged, and we learned." Behind him, his crew worked at their stations, monitoring sensors, checking systems, always vigilant, always ready. Because that was what humanity did now. They watched, they protected, they remembered, and they made sure that never again would a child die because treaties were just empty words. The galaxy was different now, safer for some, more complicated for others, but undeniably changed. And at the heart of that change was a simple truth, a lesson learned in blood and fire. When you threaten human children, you wake a sleeping giant. And that giant will never forget, will never forgive, will never stop protecting the innocent. The old galaxy was dead, the new galaxy was being born, and humanity stood at its center, not as conquerors, not as tyrants, as guardians, as protectors, as the species that learned the hardest lesson of all. Peace is not given. Peace is not guaranteed. Peace is earned through strength and maintained through vigilance. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy and its burden. Forever watching, forever protecting, forever remembering the 4,000 names on a wall. The end.